Hachi. Kyu. Ju. All right, now we're doing crossbody upper, so we're turning to our left, right's coming up, right is short, so we're not doing ourselves any good, so we got to get hourglass to get that range. All right, so float right, each. Float left, knee. San, back fist, inside, inside, up. Shi, back fist, inside, inside, up. Go, back fist, inside, inside, up. Roku, back fist, inside, inside, up. Sichi. Hachi. Kyu. Ju. All right. Any questions over the warm-up?
No.
All right. So I want to start working a little bit of speed drills, and I want to concentrate, and the reason I'm wearing the shorts and have this funny little thing on my leg is I want you to start thinking as I'm coming up to do my punch. If I'm just flat-footed, I still got a couple inches here before I hit my target. If I do my float, drop, now I've gained 5-6 inches and I hit my target. Okay, so that's your basic to move this knuckle to that spot. I'm turning my upper body by lifting, dropping, lifting, dropping. Don't go up as high as this lovely cat paw looking thing that I'm doing. I'm just trying to get it to where you can visually see that. Now, when I do that motion, what most people think about when I start talking about moving that heel over is they think of one thing, is that heel. And so if you can look at, well, we'll do my knee first. This is what most people do, and I'll get right here on this line so you can kind of visually see that. The knee stays where it's at and drops. The heel drops. So if I do that, I'm thinking with only one side of my body. The pivot is my knee. If I think of this more like a teeter-totter, and my heel goes this direction, but my knee crosses that line, then I'm going two different directions. My knee is going that direction, and my heel is going that direction. So what that translates to is quicker bottom body translates to quicker top body. So if I do it wrong, if I just move my heel, I'm actually moving a little bit further away, and my top body doesn't go as fast. If I move both directions, my body shifts into the target, and it speeds up the torque of my hips, and I get much faster. I know you're only getting so many frames a second here, so it's kind of hard to see if I'm going faster, I think, because it just probably all looks blurry no matter what.
It looks pretty good.
Pardon?
I said it looks pretty good. Might depend on each person's internet connection, though.
So this next thing that I want you to do is you can just do it up in the air, and you you can just choose to do one hand for a little bit, but I want you to think about coming to the center with that pinky knuckle and rocking up to where the index knuckle is right here. But when you do that, I want you to have, if I'm punching with the right, I've got my right heel off the ground, but I want you to really think as you come up, right about the time your elbow comes free and you start to rotate, I want you to think about that knee going to the inside at the same time that heel goes out. So you're coming up and my knee crosses this line. I start on this line, knee crosses the line. I'm trying to exaggerate a little bit so it's easier to see, but I want you to just kind of work on coming up. You feel the elbow come free, and then move your knee in and your heel out. So knees going in. Of course, you can't see the heel at that point. I guess I could tilt that down a little bit, give you a little bit closer shot there. So I'll get right on that blue piece of tape. See how my knee comes in? That actually kind of covers the groin a little bit, which Brady brought up a video that he was watching of Taika where he brings his knee in yesterday, I think, or this morning. I don't know when I didn't see the email till this morning. But see how my knee in the video, you can see between my legs, you can see that solid white or solid blue line back there. When I come up to punch, see now you can't see that line, and my heel has crossed. See how far away from that solid blue line that's between the legs there? So I'm going about 45 degrees when I do this punch. Again, you'll have to experiment with, where you're punching. It may be 45, it may be 60 degrees, it may be 22 and a half, just depends on where you're going. You're wanting to get that on impact. You're wanting to get that right angle with your chest and your arm. All right?
All right.
So, all I want you to do right at this point is just on your own. You can do some rights, some lefts. Practice that on your own here a little bit. And then I'm going to come kind of look at each of the individual little screens and see how you're doing. And really think of that knee press. You'll also notice because the top of my head is about equal with the ceiling, that back ceiling line, that little black magnet there, try to get it right there. You'll also notice when I do that, if I just go here, see how the top of my head is still, I just moved my heel, I didn't move my knee. I'm the same height basically as I was here. But if I move that knee in, the same time I move that heel out, I've dropped several inches. Okay? So work on that a little bit, and I'm going to stare at you relentlessly. Relentlessly. So when you do this, make sure when you end up, you're ending up, I got my my lovely square, when I bring this up, I'm coming inside of this square. But when I drop and my knee goes out, that square with my chest and my arm is here. I don't want to end up here, and I don't want to end up here. I'm seeing a couple of people that are you're thinking about a target directly in front of you, but you're turning this heel almost 90 degrees, and you're still trying to hit this target. So you end up with this. You end up with that you're ended up with an extra 45. So if I'm here on my lines, let's see. If I'm here on my lines and I take this arm straight out and just hold this T-square, if I go to 45, that puts me almost directly center with my arm length. If you go to 90, then see how I've added an extra 45 to my arm? An extra 45 degrees. So that'd be equivalent, here's Bob. If I go 45, I hit him about center. If I go 90, I'm going to completely miss Bob out here, or this side. So I went almost 90 with my heel. That puts me out here, so I'm not hitting Bob. I'm missing him. If I had a superhero name, it would be Captain Visual Aid. Yeah, take a pause on your impact, the finished stroke, and really look to see if that's still 90 degrees. Couple of you are, at least with the camera angle that I can tell, it looks like you're going a little bit farther than 90. You're not at the right angle.
If it's me, tell me.
So think of your camera directly in front of you. I'm going to turn to my right at 45 degrees, and I'm going to punch with my right. So if I do that, if my camera is directly in front of me and I'm punching with my right, I float my right. When I do this motion, my chest should end up square, and that should end up here. If I end up like this, or if I end up like this, it's a little bit easier because you'll see, you'll be facing the camera. And then if you are practicing left-handed, if you start facing 45, lift your left and do this motion, you should feel, this should be square with your laptop or iPad or whatever, and this should be straight. So that might help you a little bit too. Like I always said, what confused most people when they were learning was the walls. So if you're starting square with a wall and trying to end up square at a 45, sometimes that jacks you up. Becky must be cold.
Hey, when you get after you get done watching everyone, can we talk a little bit about the upper body and its position? I feel like on some occasions, I'm really like reaching, like I'm bending forward. And, I don't know how much I should be bending forward or if I should be, just
sitting down.
I noticed this too when I was, in our beginning exercises. Like sometimes I was kind of hunching forward a little bit as I was going into my back stance.
So when I do this, I've got that stool back here. I'm all the way up, back of my legs are touching it. I float and I do this motion. The back of this leg is actually hitting that like I'm about to sit down. So I'm already touching it, and then I can just sit down. I'm trying to keep my back somewhat straight as I do this, straight up and down. So this kind of motion. I'll do it from several angles. And actually, that's not a bad drill to do if you take lines in your basement or wherever. If you've got a spot or a spouse that'll let you get away with that. Just sitting here, I'm facing this wall, and I drop and do this, and then I come right back up. I float, drop, and do it. Float, drop, and do it. Do that till you've done all 8 directions, and then switch and do it around the other directions. That's a good way to keep you from getting acclimated too much to the wall. I tend to try to concentrate on the floor rather than the wall when I'm doing this. Obviously, if I've got a target, right now, the first thing you learn is 45s, right? 45s are easy. You get your 2 straight lines, and it's immediately in the center. So going 45s is pretty easy. Later on, once you get used to doing 45s, then you want to split the lines and do 22 and a half, right? And then I'm splitting the line. Now I'm at the 45. Now 45, splitting the line. Splitting the line, 45, or 90 or whatever. So you take your 8-pointed star and turn it into a 16-pointed star. And then you can even chop that into more refined, go into 32, etc. So you, instead of doing 22 and a half, you got to figure out 11 and a quarter.
I have a question, Lee.
Yes.
When you are first facing your adversary, in order to use this, don't you already have to be facing at a 45-degree angle?
At impact or at the start?
At the start.
So at the start, what we're learning to do is aim, okay? So here's my bad guy, and I'm sitting here, I'm talking to him. You actually learn this in law enforcement. We have what we call zones in law enforcement. This is 0 zone, directly in front of the person, which we don't like to be in because they have 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head to attack us with. We like to be off at a 45, somewhere in this pie area, which is zone 1. Zone 2 is straight to the side, and zone 3 is off behind, fighting-wise. I don't really talk about that a lot in our class because we tend to start in zone 0 and end in zone 1 and maybe navigate around to 2 during an armbar or something. And 3 when you get to Dan's favorite new techniques, the restraints. I always start in 0 because that's human nature. If I'm talking to somebody and he's calling my mama bad names and I try to get over here to the 45 while talking to him, the first thing he's going to do is turn and face me. Humans want to turn and face you. So the reality of it is we don't want to be in 0 because he's got all his weapons, but that's where encounters start. They pretty much always start right here face to face. So I'm here. If I were to throw a straight punch, the way the standard oyata punch, I would hit him in that mirrored location. So I can go this way, I can go this way, I can do what we're working on right now, that pivot. What we did at the end of our last class, I can do that motion. I can do all these different motions, but I've got to know where my knuckle's going to be on impact. So if I did that pirouette with the right hand, I'm parallel, but yeah, I'm way far. If I do that pirouette with this, see, I'm parallel, but my knuckles are lined up. Now I know if I slide my foot that I impact. So a lot of these drills, what we're doing is you're learning to hit a moving target, but you're the moving target. You know, you go to the gun range, you shoot a target over and over again that's sitting in a stand, and if you go to a good expensive range, they might have movable targets. You go hunting, your target's probably moving, and you learn to lead it and hit because it's moving. Well, we're kind of learning the flip opposite of that. We're learning to know where our impact point is going to be as we move. So the target, and again, both I can move and he can move, but I'm learning, I want to hit this point. I know I've got that much of a bind if I go direct to it. If I move my body to where this is straight to hit that spot, then I'm perpendicular. So I'm not 45 at the beginning, I'm straight on to hit center. Now, if I wanted to hit that spot, I can do it from straight on. If I want to hit that center spot, then I need to drop into my 45. Hopefully, did that answer the question or make it worse?
I believe so. And
hopefully the I believe so was that answered it.
If you were punching,
not to make it worse.
If you're punching with your right hand, could you potentially move left or right depending on the situation?
Yeah, it depends on where you're planning on hitting.
Okay,
so I want to hit with my right hand to that center spot. I can float and hit that center spot. Now, I can take a longer step if I go to my left instead of just lift and drop. I can shuffle. So you see, trying to help with the 3 dimensions here. So if I just lift and drop, my right hits way out here in no man's land. If I shuffle, my heel is equal to the end of that where that blue dot is, and I do this motion, I'm perpendicular. I went to my left, but I've got still a right punch at the center. So it all depends. You're learning to aim and move, or move and aim. All right, so I can go do this same motion and turn my body into horse stance. So I went hourglass horse stance, and that got me into the right position. So right now I'm trying to help this knee and heel, I'm trying to help you get speed with your aim. But yeah, there's numerous places you can go. Now, a good way to help figure that out is put a piece of tape on the wall. If you've got a bag, use your bag. If you've got a BOB, use your BOB. But just lock your arm in that kind of Nahanchi deal where you've got a good firm motion of your arm, and think about how, without twisting, how do I just move my heels? So there I kind of did a C-step hourglass in. Shift, hourglass. So you're learning to aim and do all these fun things all at the same time. Good?
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
All right, so here's another little thing I want to do, want you to do, is I want you to do simultaneous arms to kind of get this in your head, whether or not, so if I put my hands here, you can see on the video, my knuckles are matching this spot. All right, so it's like your hands are on a steering wheel at 10 and 2 or whatever. So first thing is leave your hands here and just float and go to your 45. Float and go to your 45. And that's how a single punch, that's where you should be. If your knuckles are outside your shoulders, can you see that on the screen with my white shirt? I failed to do laundry and get my blue shirts ready. Outside my shoulders, knuckles here at the brachial plexus. All right? So if you sit here and do that motion, and do that a few times, clockwise, counterclockwise, that you should start to get to where you kind of feel where the hands should definitely be and where they shouldn't be. Then what you can do is I can float my right, bring both hands up, and then, and did I end up in that same position? Check and see if you ended up in that same position. Because I'm still seeing what it looks like to me some people are doing. I'll do it starting facing this way, is, but I'm gonna do the two-hand method. What it looks like some of you are still doing, and it may just be the camera angles, it's kind of hard with this Zoom format. Come up, float, and it looks like, see how my hands are outside my shoulders? That's what it looks like. If you take away the one arm, it looks like your hand is past 90 instead of here. Okay? So if I float, bring both hands up, and then snap them out, float, bring both hands up, and snap them out, they should, those knuckles should be on the inside, my rectangle, not the outside, making a trapezoid. The crease right here, where our legs tie in and where the crease where our arms tie in is our targeting rectangle. All right. Did anybody take the time and watch the video that I put up on 9th Q, the rectangle and everything? I just put up this Sunday, I think. Sunday or Monday, I can't remember. Yeah, got some thumbs up. Yeah, I show the rectangle on the screen, and that's what we're trying to do, is I don't want to be out. I want to be with that knuckle right at that spot. That's my target practice. You play darts, you target practice, you You throw axes, you throw knives, you do archery, whatever it is, you're trying to hit a specific point to develop accuracy. And when we try to hit this point over and over and over again, we develop a strong foundation for the point of impact when we strike something. If I strike and I'm inside, I have tightened this area here and made some structural weaknesses by expanding back here. The opposite happens if I go outside the shoulder. It changes things. So we want the body at the point of impact, we want it to be as structurally sound as possible, right? Now, if it's a couple of degrees in a fight, it's not going to kill you, but you're going to have the most kinetic energy transfer from your body to theirs if the body is aligned to absorb and push that kinetic energy forward. So I'm sure everybody in here has done push-ups before. And I'll try to do this without killing my poor torn shoulder. But if I go and do push-ups from this position, where, we'll start here, where my knuckles are lined up, it's much easier than if I put my knuckles outside my shoulder, or if I go straight center, it's a lot harder to do. So structurally, I'm the soundest. And if you bench press, you know, you put your hands here with this knuckle right here and everything's nice and works. You go out here, you're working different muscle groups that are weaker. So we want to try to aim in those positions with those items lined up as best we can. So try to keep those arms, both arms straight when you do that, Bob. So just for camera purposes, I'm trying, when you do that, try to keep both arms straight. Obviously, I wouldn't do it from this position. Looks like a really bad dance. But don't let the arm bend as you do that. Try to keep them as you're trying to work on the hands, the 90 degree. Try to keep both hands forward. I'm going to get a drink of water as we do that. I should drink all of Dan's juice.
Where is Dan anyway?
He's a healthcare professional. He's working.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't reached out to him in a while, but he said that he's having to work extra hours, work Saturdays, things like that right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think there'll probably be a spike in mental health over the sequestration here. Yeah, I talked to Dan last week. He said the same thing to me.
I have a question about distance.
Yep, coming back.
Okay. I had a question about the range, gaining the range, because early at the beginning you said this was one basic way of getting more range while staying within your frame. But you're not extending the joints out or anything like that. You're only just getting the range by your feet, right?
Correct. It's feet. If you concentrate, let me back the truck up here. if you concentrate, actually, this would probably be better. If you concentrate on your arm and having everything relaxed and at that 90 degrees on impact, if you stretch, you see how I'm pushing that shoulder and my pec forward? If you just sit here and do this, you should be able, if you're concentrating on your muscles, your tendons, you should feel how that weakens the structure, right? I feel right back here, pressure at that lovely little spot there when I roll. I also feel it, and it may be I'm feeling it more because I actually have 3 tears in my shoulder. I find it interesting, the downside of getting old is you start breaking stuff. But then you start realizing a little bit more about your body because you have, your weaknesses are more exposed. So where a 22-year-old person sitting here punching wrong can hit a makiwara wrong and be tearing up their body and they don't feel it until they're 40 years old. And then they're doing the exact same punch that they've done for 20 years and suddenly everything's really hurting. Why is it hurting? Well, you've been doing it wrong for 20 years, but your body was strong enough to absorb that shock and recover from it. And you just, you know, it's growing pains or whatever when you're young. But as you get older, you start coming in tune. Like I talked about in that video I just released, this motion, I've got what they call a golfer's elbow right now. So I get this sharp pain right here when my arm goes into certain positions. So if I do a outside block the way a lot of martial artists do it, well, here, let me even come up higher. See where that hand is, my hand is at a 90 degree. When you do that, if you watch my 45, this is Oyata's method, watch just my elbow. When I go to 90, it's impossible to go to 90 without that elbow coming in and becoming structurally weak. The only way to do it without moving that elbow is actually to cheat. And I'm gonna hold on to my elbow and I basically bend my wrist. Okay, so I'm not moving my forearm as much. It still moves a little bit, but you see a lot of older, hardcore, hard style martial artists, they've started feeling weakness here, so they compensate by doing that. Us doing tuite, we know that's probably not a very good hand position to be in.
Yeah.
Right? So we definitely, you want to really be accustomed to your body and know when you are making it weaker. Understand your own body was a big thing that Taika was constantly preaching to us.
Hey, Lee. Lee, I just found, I just hung a rope from my ceiling and it's helping me quite a bit. It creates a target. And
There you go.
And then I have my hands on both sides of that rope. And then whenever I make my move, it ends up that I'm touching that, I'm hitting that rope. Oh, no.
Yeah, so
Right here.
the cheapest piece of training equipment that is, I think, the most helpful is this.
Yeah.
Some ball. It can be a tennis ball. It can be a toy ball from your dog. It can be a racket ball. I like paracord because it doesn't tangle as easy. And then a $2 clip from your hardware store. Let's see if I can find a spot where I can do this without knocking stuff down. It's funny, the ceiling is now, I have to get on my toes to put stuff up there. So this, and that's actually a little bit higher, but than my brachial plexus. So if you notice I'm punching higher, it's because of that, right? And actually, I was going to get around to this at some point today, and Brady just forced my hand. So this is an excellent tool for this. If I put my arm straight out, lift, now I take my knee in, you're going to see I just naturally hit it as my knee goes in and my heel goes out. Nothing, if I force my frame, I go into Nahanchi mode, but use my thumb, I am doing that motion. 3 of you have pasai, which is a kata we do, where Taika said the most important part of that kata is learning to aim. There's a place in that kata where we throw our heels left, our knees right, and we punch. We don't turn. Our body, like there's 2 transparent walls here, slide sideways, and we go here. And then our knees go left, our heels go right. Our chest slides through those 2 walls, and we punch. And brachial plexus tie-in. Now, obviously, if I do that full tilt, I'll have to aim up because I'm doing my I'm dropping my body by going into that stance. But instead of aiming center punch, I'm putting my brachial plexus directly in line with that ball and then hitting it. I'm now putting my brachial plexus direct in line with that ball. My punch starts coming out till it hits my center line and then rotates, and I'm there. If I just twist my feet and let my torso, my punch would have to be here to be 90. So you'll see tons of videos of people doing pasai online, or basai sho. Instead of a P, it's a B in the Japanese. You'll see them doing this motion, and this motion, right? So what they're doing is they're getting the ball in the center, and they're turning their body, and then to reach it, they have to punch at this angle. And that's, if I'm trying to punch something hard, and if I'm trying to punch Bob hard with all of my might, and I'm at that angle, that is probably roughly 45, 50 degrees from perpendicular instead of straight here, 45, 90. So that's what they're doing. They're putting their center body here, and then they're twisting and punching here, which is equivalent to me facing this way and punching Bob as hard as I can out here. What structures of my body are weak? That spot's weak. Tricep, the bottom of the tricep head there is weak. You should be able to find something semi-solid, a bag or something, and punch it. Obviously that one's, if I punch like this, I really feel the head there of my shoulder just scream straight 90 and just come in at various angles until you get to that 90 and then punch across your body, or I guess I could do it this way. And particularly with this injury, when I'm punching across, I feel that down here in this ulna head. So this is just a wonderful tool for initially setting. I'm setting that brachial plexus where I want it to be, straight at that ball. My chest is still straight to the same wall I was facing, and then I can punch it. And when it impacts, that's all lined up.
Hey, Lee, I just thought of a way to make that even better tool. If you have that rope go all the way down to the floor, so it's actually attached to something on the floor, then that target stops moving quicker. So you can continue to do it over and over. Here,
Although,
wait for that ball to stop moving.
I like the ball floating, and I'll go ahead and show that. So,
oh, because your opponent could be moving. I see.
No, not so much. Although there are some drills, other aspects of having this are that you can practice hitting moving targets. But if I hit this and it comes back and hits my knuckle, that tells me how I've hit it. Okay, so that was a completely straight, so it's going off on that straight line. If it comes back and hits me in the knuckle, it gives me some feedback that I'm doing a straight punch. If I'm doing a three-dimensional punch, right? So if I'm thinking of curling in, as I come in, it puts a little spin on it, and it doesn't come back exactly right to where my knuckle is.
A good point.
So in that regard, I like it free floating.
Yeah.
Also, and obviously you can't hit it really hard, but it is kind of nice to be able and sit and hit a moving target with Tonbo, Joe, Bo, etc. If you hit it really hard, it's going to fly up and take out a ceiling tile. I guess Brady and Bob don't have ceiling tiles in their basements, so it wouldn't matter. It might peeve your wife when she keeps hearing this noise hitting the floor, but it is definitely a very good tool. All right. All right, I'm going to grab a couple of visual aids and let you guys play for a little bit. Is anybody leaving early today? Just depends on what I do.
Like 5 minutes early, I think.
If I start dancing or something, you might leave early. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to do a magic trick. All right. Just wanted to discuss some other parts of training at home. And I think most of you have or have had kids and maybe have something like this, just a ball hanging around the house, a basketball, dodgeball, kickball, volleyball, anything like that. You don't have to get them now, but I just want to kind of show something because I don't know if any of you watch our buddy in North Carolina posted a drill that he does with his little kids with hitting bags and sending them, flying across the room and whatnot. But what I want to kind of talk about is our punches. And when we punch at the moment of impact, if we punch 100% straight, and I'll probably have to spend some time chasing these balls as I do this. If I punch 100% straight, that ball should go straight forward, right? I can't believe that bounced off and I caught it. Really, that was cool. But we don't typically punch that way, right? I'm trying that, it'll never happen again. When we punch, we do three-dimensional attacks. We curl inside, we curl outside, we go in and down, into the right, up, up. We do strikes like that. So the way to tell what direction you're doing your impacts at is with something like this. And all I got is I got a lovely roll of tape and the ball on it. And as I punch to see if the timing is going correct, if I go straight, it goes straight ahead. If I do that curve, the ball should go the direction I'm curving it. Right? So it's kind of hard. I can't really curve down into the table, but I can curve up. Of course, I have to keep chasing it. I need what do they call those people at the tennis courts that hang by the net and chase the balls?
Ball chasers?
I
Ball
would assume
drivers?
you go by that, but you never know. But at any rate, ballers, is that what they call them? Ballers? All right, so I just kind of wanted to share that with you because I know somebody, I don't remember who, had sent me a kind of a message about that video. He's teaching kids, and he obviously doesn't teach 4-year-olds through probably 16-year-olds how to do the three-dimensional strikes. So if you're wanting to practice and get good at on impact redirecting, then you can set up something like this and practice. I want to try to go to that small pocket there and start trying to aim. I want to go down. I want to go up. All right. Just kind of wanted to give you that because everybody's trying to come up with stuff to do at home. All right. Any questions on that?
So you're just making sure you're starting off straight, and then at the very end, you're making that rotation.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what you want to make sure you don't do is if you set, I've got the ball here and I want it to go forward and to the left, you don't start throwing like haymakers.
Mm-hmm.
You want to still come in straight to where you're coming in straight to it, and then at the moment of impact, you flexion. If I want it to go to the right, I do extension. Extension, flexion,
Mm-hmm.
extension, flexion. So if I want it to kind of go up a little bit, which if you strike somebody and curl up, flexion at an angle, that kind of lifts the center of their foundation up a little bit, right? I mean, it's going to be relevant to the weight of the person and everything, but they're thinking that that punch is coming straight and you change the angle just up a little bit, their right foot is the one that's on this side of their body. That'll take the balance off of that right foot for just a brief moment. I can also flex down. If I rotate over at a 45 and flex down, that's going to take the kinetic energy down. The point is, you're still coming straight to your target, just at the moment of impact, once you feel the skin or the shirt, whatever it is, once you feel contact is when you move. So if you set the ball up on something like that, like Pastor Becky there with her pulpit, you set it up there and you do a few tries, you know, of changing hand angles and doing flexion or extension. Then what you want to do is sit there and close your eyes and do it nice and slow and gradually build up speed. And the second you feel it, then do your flexion or extension. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good solo way to drill to get it to where you can feel the touch and power through it in a different direction. All righty. Trying to see what Trinidad's sitting over there.
I don't think I have a ball. I have this old tissue box. So.
That's what I thought it was. Okay. All right. Again, those are some very cheap kind of things that you can use to help train at home. An old ball, basketball, volleyball, kickball, something like that. Even if you just got, you know, a kick shield that you can put up, lean up against something and do that with. Just anything you can prop up that you can send sailing. Obviously, you know, you don't want something hard with lots of sharp edges. I wouldn't use a pineapple, just saying. But that's a pretty cheap item. You can get those things for $2 to $5 if you actually brave the house and go to Walgreens or CVS, or you can get them on Amazon. The dangly ball is obviously a very good tool that you guys can use as well. While I'm on that, I wanted to cover just a little bit of some theory to go with that and some things you can think about with your body to go with that. The problem is it's a little bit harder to do this without a partner, but if you think about when you're hitting somebody, you want to attack the weakness. And so every table you've ever sat at has been either a three-legged table or a four-legged table. Four-legged's the normally structurally strongest, right? Humans are two-legged tables. So there's always a weakness. Taika would talk about attacking, and structurally, when we go and attack, right, people brace for impact. You've heard me talk about that. So if I'm gonna punch somebody in the belly, they see that hand coming and they kind of tense and lean into it to try to absorb that impact. Well, as part of this 3D motion, you need to kind of understand stances and their weaknesses. So you've got, everybody in here has gone through the basic class where you've learned obviously natural stance, you've learned back stance, you've learned hourglass, you've learned forward, you've learned horse. And there's variations of horse that we don't do. Obviously, we don't do heels in, we do this stance because it's more centered and grounded. If you go heels in, the weakness is their body is going forward. So what I'm trying to show is, like, in a fight situation, people step, and they may step into a back stance, they may step into a nice wide forward stance, or old style, oops, I guess I got to pull back a little bit. Old style stance, forward stance or bow stance. all of these stances have some inherent weakness. We've all gone to that restaurant that had a table where there's 4 legs, but 2 of the legs are not the same length, so it sits there and teeters, and you and the person you're eating dinner with are constantly, you take a bite of food and the table shifts to you, they take a bite of food and the table shifts to them, and it sits there and teeter-totters. We've all had that kind of annoying thing. Well, stances are pretty much the same. If I'm in a stance in fighting, I have some inherent weaknesses. If a punch is coming from this side and my back leg is lined up to meet that punch, and so instinctively, as a punch is coming in to hit me, I'm going to brace this direction. So when I do that, so when I do a forward stance, and I'm actually going to lose the rest of these so we don't get too confused. It's actually why I bought these. So if I'm in a left forward stance and you go to hit me with your right punch, my back leg is going to push, my left knee is going to push instinctively. I don't think about it. It's natural. This stance with that heel out is meant to brace that direction. So where are the weaknesses? So the weaknesses so in that forward stance with that heel out, weaknesses is forward in this area, this zone, and back in this zone, right? So for me to exploit that stance weakness to the green, to the front, I would have to pull the person to take their balance. It's kind of hard on a 3-dimensional attack to punch and pull. So that one's out. So when I'm going to strike with that right punch, if the left leg is forward, extension, as this comes in, I'm going to extend towards the other weakness. The body is set up to brace this way, and if you punch and extend towards that orange circle there, it's going to shift my hips and make me go weak, make me lose my balance. If you did a flexion with your right, if your right hand came in and flexed towards this hip, I'm helping him brace against it. Kind of make sense? Looking for thumbs? Thumbs up. Bob's got his hand on his head like I've created a headache. All right. So kind of hard to visualize, but kind of just what I want you thinking about homework-wise is hopefully in another 2 weeks or so, we can get back together and start doing some more stuff. But as you're thinking about, you know, striking and flexing, striking and extending, doing those kind of things, if Bob's left leg is here and his right leg is back and I flex into his back leg, he's going to be able to, I'm helping him absorb that impact. If that left leg is here, right leg is behind, and I extend back to the back, then he's in this position and it forces his hip over the orange circle. So, a little bit of self-analyzation that you can do, analyze your stances, is over the course of the next couple of weeks, as we're sequestered, you can sit there and get in a back stance, a forward stance, an hourglass, and say, where does this stance, I'm in an hourglass, where does that put my core, so that if a punch is coming straight on, where am I able to absorb, where am I not able to absorb? If I'm in a back stance, cat, I guess you could do. All the stances have you'll feel the structure in how you can hit. If you hit straight into it, it's going right into that back leg. If I hit and curve this way, it puts stress on that back knee. If I hit and go this way, it throws the hip, and you see what happens to my balance. So again, I just kind of, because we were talking about three-dimensional attacks, I wanted to just kind of broach that topic and give you something to think about over the next couple of weeks. Any questions? Yes.
So let's say you're doing this, at full speed, right? You're actually in a confrontation and you go for that. How do you protect your own wrist when you start transitioning to one direction or another, preventing yourself from either straining your own wrist or accidentally hyperextending the inside of your forearm, things like that?
So when I demonstrate, I break over a lot farther. Really, all it takes, if you can see that, all it takes is just a little bit of motion. I'm not collapsing full to here. And I do this hard to soft, soft to hard with a fist. So a fist is knuckles. So I'm only typically doing this with knuckles when I'm going to like a nice soft belly, like the kidney area, maybe a pectoral, although usually pectorals, I'll use the bottom of my fist. And so trying to find a way, I'll impact and then curl. But you feel that impact, your alignment hits, my alignment hits, and you see the structural alignment of the bone along that knuckle. And then once I feel it, I just move just a little. It doesn't take a lot. So I've got the structure when I impact, but I'm not impacting bone to bone. Kleenex box almost hit the camera there. It was pretty funny. I hit and move. So you've got to have that structure at the moment of impact and then move.
Okay.
Does that help make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you're hitting something like, if you've got a really hard bag that has, 50 pounds of water in the bottom of it, I don't know how much water's in the bottom of your bag you got there, Brad, but if you're hitting that, it's not as soft and squishy as a belly is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to kind of take that, you can hit that bag as hard as you can, and with your fist aligned, everything works right, but your flexion and extension should just barely, it's almost like I just squeeze my hand for a flexion, or think at the moment of impact, just a little bit of a palm heel. Don't think full, hit that bag as hard as you can and break your wrist over, because then, yeah, you're going to hyperextend it.
Mm-hmm.
Although one bonus of the way we strike is if you did screw up somehow, because our hand's not a tight fist. If it's a tight fist, that extension is going to hurt a lot and can do damage. If you're in the typical oyata funnel, then your hand's already open and it can extend farther when it's open than when it's closed. You lose almost 50%, like you can see that angle, and then when I open it, I can go almost the full 90. All right. Any more? You're good. Any other questions on all that? All right. So it's 11:20. We're going to move on to just one more little thing that that we started last class, which was what I call deep line, and that's the pirouette version. So I should get this out of the way. You guys don't need to see this dangling there, do you? Okay. All right. So you can use a wall, a bag if you've got one, whatever tools you have. This same motion is one of the reasons I wanted to talk about the knee and the heel. When I do a pirouette, if I just try to go and do a pirouette, this feels bound. I feel tightness, depending on which direction I go. I feel tightness on one side and the other a little bit lower, one side high, other side low. So if I am gonna pirouette my right foot around, I want my left knee coming in and my left heel coming out. So as I throw my hands out, and this one feels a little funny at first, but I'm doing knee in, heel out. I'll put that right on the line so you can see it. So you can see the edge of that blue line. As I do this, if I just pirouette, I feel lots of tightness. I feel like something's gonna snap or break. Maybe it's just because I'm old. But if I go knee in, heel across that line as I do my pirouette, so my knee went in and my heel came out, then I don't feel that tightness, right? And that's getting that, adding that extra speed. I'm going to take the weight off of my right and drag it around as that knee goes that way and my heel goes that way. All right. This particular motion, doing the pirouette, if you don't use your arms, it feels slow and hard. It's hard to do it without flinging your arms. So that fling adds kinetic body energy to turn my chest as I go. So I'm really thinking, particularly it's real good to use Bob because I like to slap him across the face. So if I'm here straight ahead in zero zone and I'm doing this motion, if I use this arm, it really helps me get my body turned around into that pirouette. So again, I'm here, and so this hand is just both hands are just coming up trying to go straight. This hand's probably going to hit groin, hit belly, or if I turn it up, I may hit this little opening here, but I'm still covering my groin. So here, and then of course, we talked about this. I can't remember who all was here Wednesday, but that puts me really at the outer range. And again, now my right arm's short. So my right arm can't follow up unless I either drop really deep into an hourglass or I just slide that back leg up where it's almost into a T and then drop my knees. So I slide up, I'm still a little short, then I just drop my knees just a little bit to where they're past my big toes. Okay? So again, reset, think left knee in, right heel out as I throw my hands. As the right hand comes up on the inside, it's short, so all I do is come up. And it's long enough now that I can rock Bob full back. I'm just kind of using Bob as an example right now. Obviously, I wouldn't go knuckle to jaw. If I was actually going to hit jaw, I would go open to palm heel, soft to hard. You can't see this side. If I was going to hit him in the neck, I'd hit knuckle to soft, hard to soft, etc., etc. But this is just a ranging drill. So find something you can just barely touch with your hands open, hands closed. You're not quite there. Knee in, heel out. You should immediately be able to touch. Come up, heels together, knee press, and then you've got your range. And I'm at a 90 degree. So depending on how much I pirouetted, if I over pirouetted, is that a word, Becky? Over pirouetted? Then my 90 degree is way off, right? So I would have to adjust my heels to get to the 90. Make sense?
Can I just complain for a minute? None of my kids will let me do karate on them.
I just kneeled down and it looked so like she clocked him and he dropped. I know there was some acting involved there, but that was...
We got a WWE superstar right there.
Yeah, that was pretty good. All right. So find something, a small child or, you know, whatever you have laying around.
So can you do that, you know, just facing us instead of facing Bob? And then,
Yes.
and then I don't know if like when you're doing it, if you're like over exaggerating your rotation or not, but just kind of, so I can kind of just see how you're, you know, if you're rotating with your right foot's pirouetting, what your left foot's doing. Cause I feel like mine, I'm either going like too far with the heel going out, or I'm not doing it at all when I practice this.
As far as that heel?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll get right on that line again so you can kind of see. So this is my hand motion. I'm just going straight, but it's going to end up off to that corner because I'm going to go here. So my foot, my heel comes out and you see it's pretty much matching that line. It's pretty much off at the 45. So my hand coming across the face is, we've talked about strong and weak, right? Strong, I want at a 90 degree. When I impact Bob, this is my strong arm. When I impact the face or skip off the shoulder, I want that impact strong. So it's ending up at that angle because my foot pretty much, where my foot is aimed is where my hand goes straight out, right? So when I turn, of course it's...
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
What?
You know, that's what I thought too. I think what confused me was maybe just some of the verbiage used last week. You're talking about having that almost tied up like a spring to pop forward with, and I'm like, well, I'm not ending up in with my heel in. I'm almost in a back stance, not an hourglass.
So I am ending up back stance here. If I coil the spring, like I'm here, if I want to hit them just with an hourglass, I coil the spring, right? So that's an hourglass, and I can hit them that way. So again, I'm here. Now I want to hit along that line where my bad guy was, right? So as this foot slides up, that is my straight line, 90 degrees. But as I push that knee forward, the back heel moves, and I end up in that really tight hourglass. It's almost, because my feet almost touch, it's almost like an L. I'm there in an hourglass. Now, normally my hourglass would be here, but I'm trying to get, because I went deep line, I've got 2 feet to recover. So I can get some of that here, but my arm's facing the wrong way until I coil that spring. So as I come in to get my chest in alignment, I'm gaining about 2 feet by moving the 1 foot and coiling. That help or hurt?
Yeah.
So both? So it may look a little bit off because I'm starting, like I'm starting center screen would be essentially the chin, and I'm starting on this side of his face instead of starting center, right? Because I was trying to show you that line so you knew how far my heel was going. If bad guy center is here, straight along with my midline, and I do this motion, then here's my right arm chest, hourglass here. So I'm pretty close to his center, and knees come in. I don't have to bind as much as what it looked like. I don't know if that helped clarify or not.
Yeah. Just something to kind of think about. Yeah, and work on.
All right. I'm going to let you guys work on that a little bit. We got 30 minutes left. So if you've got something in specific, like I know Becky keeps playing with her Joe every once in a while. If you got something specific you want to work on, let me know, or start doing it, and then I'll chime in and tell you how much better Brad thinks he does it.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to do Joe. I'd like to work on Joe. I don't know if I phrased that correctly.
I'm staring at you.
Yeah, it says you spotlighted me, so everybody has to look at me. Apparently.
Oh, is that? That's the only way I could get you big enough on the screen that I could see you.
Oh, so I don't think you need to spotlight me, but you can just double click on my frame and it pulls. Because
When
if
I
you
did that earlier,
when you did that,
pulls me up full screen, and then I can't even see you now.
okay, so when you did the other thing, when you spotlighted me, I couldn't see you anymore. I just saw myself twice.
Here, I'll go to, I'm in this view now, so I can see
You just need to
everybody a little bit bigger. I'm in the Hollywood Squares view.
you just need to pin her. Click up.
Yeah. Double click on mine.
Yeah, if you click up there on those 3 dots in the right-hand corner of her image, see an option to pin that video.
Yep, I don't have that option. Maybe the Linux version is different. I don't know.
I think maybe you've changed something.
That should be knee height.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'm doing a lot of things wrong, but I'm trying to get the steps right.
Yeah, you've changed some setting because now I can't pin anybody.
I think you skipped,
Hey, can you stop?
go back and start that again, Becky.
I felt like I was going the wrong way on that part. I think she called me upstairs. Like this?
So, nope. So you went to where you're facing right now, you went and did the 2 left leg strikes.
Yeah.
There's 2 right leg strikes after that.
Oh, okay.
So now you're back left, front right. Now go front left, low. There you are. Back right, center. Now back to me. Yep. And switch hands, strike up. Now to there you go. And to the back. Up to the left. There you go. Yeah, that's all the moves.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
advanced move.
yep. So I'll do it again, and now you can tell me what I'm doing other things wrong, okay?
Grabbing a Joe, stand by. So on all of these strikes, Becky, actually there's 3 of you that do Joe. This, you're striking and you're in a very back-weighted stance. As you strike, you should be leaning into that. So the weight should be on that front leg. I think just about
On all of
every
them?
strike.
Should it be forward stance on all of the strikes?
Forward weighted stance. So the basic stance is not quite, so when you strike with a Joe, you're striking kind of at an angle. If you're in a forward stance with both heels out, you're not striking off at the side. So that back leg is twisted. This is really more, they used to call it a bow stance, but I've always called it a twisted horse stance. Because essentially, if you're in a horse stance, you twist your feet 45 and put your weight on the forward leg. That puts the whole stick on the left side, or the whole stick on the right side. So as you do these motions, I'm putting that weight down, and my feet are both facing this wall, but I'm at the 45. Striking down, my feet are both facing this way, but I'm striking at that 45. My feet are facing at the 45, but I'm striking straight. feet are facing the wall, I'm striking 45. Feet are facing the wall, I'm striking 45. On all of these down strikes, well, I don't know about all of them, but several of them, it looked like you had your pinky forward, your pinky side of your hand towards the long end. It should be this way. It should be both thumbs pointing towards the end you're striking when you do those. So you have to change that front hand and then change it back for this.
Okay.
Both thumbs are forward, change, both thumbs are forward. There. Does that give you enough to work on?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Brad, why? You got anything? Brady, anything? Nope. Overhead camera is empty.
My wife is upstairs vacuuming, so I'm leaving myself on mute.
Okay, tell her she sucks.
She does.
B.O.B., you got anything?
Oh, I'm good.
All right. And Bukhari, oh, there he is.
I disappeared for a minute. I'm just gonna, I don't know, play with my nunchucks or something for a little bit.
Did you watch last night's live stream?
I did not. Did you?
Yeah, he actually, he said he's going to leave it up for about 5 days on the Ormaza family dojo site or whatever.
Okay.
If you want a review, he basically goes through step by step, kind of like he did in 2016 when you learned it.
Mm-hmm.
He goes by and he does some detailed stuff on hand positions, the hand changes. And at the end, he's got his son there, and he does a few techniques. I can't remember if he did any techniques in 2016 with you or not. But he goes through some of the techniques that we learned back when the two of us learned it from Mike Klein, probably 2012 or whenever it was. I don't remember. So yeah, it's up there. He said it'll be up there for about a week and then he'll pull it.
Yeah. Oh no, I'll definitely check it out. Friday night's family movie night, so not a lot of Facebooking.
All right. All right. Well, I'll let you do whatever you're going to do. Let's see what Trinidad, aka Rick.
The last time we had an in-person class, I was getting introduced to the kicks.
Yes.
He was showing me this kick with the chair. And so I think I'm starting to understand the logic better, but so when I do that by itself, sometimes I feel like the strain here. So do I have, when I'm going out all the way, so do I have to get this hip open up first? Get it?
So, okay, so the first way you did it, your leg was going across the body. The second way you did it, you turned your heel, which turned your torso, and would be more correct.
Okay.
That makes sense? So, and keep in mind, I've got, I think I've told you, I've got a hip deal from birth, so I can't straighten my foot. But if you are going to go straight ahead and thrust, so when I try to thrust, because of my hip dysplasia, my foot goes almost vertical. I just can't do it. So if I'm going to go straight ahead, I don't want to go across my body. I want to go here. I'm leaving this foot. I'm not letting it move, and that would be straight ahead. So where's my stool? So my foot stays. My left foot, naturally, people's feet are kind of natural stance, are a little bit heels in, a little bit toes out. So that puts you at an angle where you can thrust straight. Typically, like in formation, or if I've got a bad guy and I'm doing a technique, I'm going to do this. I'm going to turn and I'm going to thrust at an angle. So if I'm here, I've got two knees. I've got the opponent's two knees right in front of me. So I'm going to turn and I'm going to thrust through his left knee with my right leg. So that's the second way that you did it initially. The first way, you left your feet and you went across your body, and you don't want to do that. You want to, if I'm going to be straight, I want to attack right to the left. If I'm going to go and turn my body, which I normally would do at the beginning of a scenario, right? The bad guy's punching, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to go off at that angle. So the first way, natural stance, and I come up, I'm kicking almost straight on, maybe just a smidge to the inside. If I turn, my goal is to drive here a lot more on the inside. And that's if the left leg is accessible. Obviously, if the person punches and steps with their left foot, it's really easy to do that. If they step with their right, I probably wouldn't do that straight kick with that leg. But I could come out and then do the straight kick with the back leg. So sometimes in formation, I'll have us, we turn, straight kick front leg, we turn, straight kick back leg.
That last kick he just did, it looked like there was no lag time between where your back foot was by the time it was on the ground to when it was hitting. How did you do that?
So turn and kick. Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, automatic.
as I'm turning, I'm immediately dropping that knee forward, which puts my weight forward because I know I'm going to kick with the back leg. If I was going to kick with the front leg, I would concentrate on dropping my right heel and kicking. But if I know I'm kicking with the back leg, when I do that same motion, I immediately think knee, drop, and the second that knee drops, my leg immediately flings forward.
Okay.
Did that answer the question?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. All right. All right, we'll go back to Becky. Any comments on Becky? She's texting something more important in her life than us guys.
I was texting you.
Oh, my phone. I couldn't find my phone right before the class, so it's upstairs somewhere. Barbara even called it, but it must have been on mute.
Yeah, I didn't send the text because you started talking to me. Could we go over, well, crap, what's it called?
Jisen?
No, Shiho, happo, note.
Oh. Shiho, happo, note.
Yeah, could we go over the start of that, please?
The start.
Yeah.
And how far?
Not sure.
Did you want to do it, or you want me to do it?
Can you do it at the same time as me? And I'll just look at the screen. So how about we try to go through the whole thing? Because you know it, and I can kind of jump in and watch you when I can't remember, okay?
All right. good example of that knee going the opposite direction in that move. This part's just for Brad. And obviously I couldn't see you for half of that, so.
Yeah, so I did fine doing all four of these parts. And this, it was after that, the second time that you do that. So first we turned to this side and we did this and all that. It was on the second one going this way. I didn't know what to do. You end up doing this.
So you do
That part
kick, you do the kick, you do this motion with the kick, and you do that saison drop, and then your hands switch to do the other side.
Okay.
So it's right side up.
Okay, then it's not that part. It's after those four things, and you go around to the other side and you do this.
Oh.
She's talking about rolling the dice.
Yeah.
So you throw it.
Part right before that. Can you rewind just a little bit?
All right. So.
It's the first time you shake a midget's hand.
So.
Yeah, I didn't learn that part, Brad.
You closed, open.
That part. And what comes after?
Backhand, capture, pull, strike, shake the midget's hand, and go 180.
Yes, that
Now
part. Can you
close
keep
your
going?
right, strike and throw it away. And then right hand close, left hand close, right, left, open, foot switch. So backhand, open, kick to here.
Yeah. Okay. So if you can go back and please, and yeah,
Please.
the part where like one hand is up, one hand is down, that part, you can do the part right before that and slow down for that. Like one hand is up like this. Yeah.
Talking this, right before
After-
the first knuckle rake.
Okay.
So knuckle rake, throw it away with the right step. Right hand
Yeah.
closes. Left hand is pushing down. So it's closed. Then you just reverse that. Left is closed. Right is pushing down, open. And then you do an upper.
Okay.
1, 2. So yeah, jazz hand on top, jazz hand on top left. And then you open, and your heel is opening at the same time. This hand comes down and closes. And you hit the back of your hand, back of your fist against the hand, and step forward with your left.
Yeah. Can you do that one more time? Because that's the part that I don't remember.
Okay. You want me to keep doing it that direction, or you
Yeah,
want me to
keep
face?
going that, yeah, go that direction. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure I didn't want to confuse you.
From
So,
top.
pardon? So,
From that.
shake hands, pivot.
Okay.
My palm is facing me. Comes up. Wait a second. Hold on. Now you got me confused because I'm starting. Damn it. Okay.
We could start over. Start from the beginning.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. All right. So strike. I'm doing that knuckle rake like we do on the arms, and then I throw it away, and I push down, and my right hand closes, and then I switch that, and I push down, and now I come palm up, and the bottom hand is closed. Then I open that, I'm switching feet, and my hand comes in and closes and strikes and throws it away.
Yep, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Woo.
Great.
Clank.
Yeah, I just tripped over the Joe.
All right, we lost Trinidad. He said he'd had to go. Holy crap. Brady's out of frame. Brad, you got any questions?
Nope.
Bob left.
Shoulder's feeling better, so I'm going to be able to start working on this stuff a little more.
Cool. Anybody at all got any questions?
No, that's a good lesson. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any comments on how we can do, what we can do better or anything?
You know, since you're wearing a white shirt, your skin shows up easier. Like I can see your arms and where they're moving with the wristbands and the white shirt.
You're
It's
real.
like color.
The white shirt instead of the blue.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stick with
'Cause-
white. I have more white shirts than any other.
Your arms show up better, so I can see what's happening. Yeah.
These huge guns that I have. Any other comments?
Oh my God, he has a gun.
In every room. All right, well, great time, guys. I'll get it compiled and up online sometime today, hopefully. All right, take care.
Thank you.